Okay, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and get the webinar started. Today, I'll be showing you how to customize and use your pipelines in Less Annoying CRM, as well as pull reports. And we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the call. So just a little bit of background info here. I'm Julia. I'm a CRM coach with Less Annoying CRM, and I have helped hundreds of small businesses set up and maintain their CRM accounts. I also help run Less Annoying CRM's content production. So if you need a help tutorial or two, I probably know just the one that you are looking for. Before we get into the meat of the demo here, I want to explain how you can ask questions during the webinar. My teammate Eunice, who is also listening in on this webinar, is here to help answer your questions. To ask Eunice a question, look at the right side of your screen and click on a tab called Questions. Under the question section, you can see all of the questions that have been asked so far in the webinar. So quickly scan the questions that have already been asked to see if your question is there. If it is, go ahead and click the up arrow to the right of your question to upvote it. That's going to let Eunice and I know which questions are the most important and most popular. So if you don't see your question, no problem. Just go ahead and click on the Ask a New Question button towards the bottom of the page and enter your questions. Please do not hesitate to ask us questions during the webinar. If you have a question, it's probably something Eunice and I have answered before, and another person watching this webinar on pipelines is probably wondering the same thing. So please do not hesitate to reach out. All right, first off, what the heck is a pipeline? Part of the function of any CRM is helping you keep track of the processes at your business. So in Less Annoying CRM, pipelines are our process or workflow tracking tool. You can create a pipeline, which is a customized process that you set up, and attach it to a contact or company to track their progress. Pipelines are composed of statuses or steps in a process and custom fields that allow you to gather pieces of relevant data. Pipelines help you keep contacts that you are actively working on front and center, as well as pull reports so that you can get a better understanding of your business. So with pipelines, you can track just about anything, and I've got a couple listed right there: leads, projects, opportunities, customer support issues, individual orders, donations, and much, much more. If you are not in sales, not to worry, pipelines can still be useful to you, and you can have multiple pipelines in your business to accommodate multiple processes that you guys run. So our call today is going to have two focus areas. We are going to talk about how pipelines work, how to customize your pipelines, as well as how to pull reports. So again, if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to post them in the questions section to your right. Okay, I am going to head into the app right now. So we are looking at a demo account, meaning that it's a fully featured version of the CRM. It just has some dummy data for us to play with. I'm going to start us off by showing you how a pipeline works, just the basics, and then we'll move on to customizing and creating new pipelines. So the default pipeline we have here in the CRM is going to be called leads. We use this for tracking leads. You might call this a prospect or an opportunity at your business, and a lot of people want to track the folks that they're trying to turn into customers. That's why it's our default in the CRM. So just to show you how pipelines work in Less Annoying CRM, let's track one of our current leads. I'm going to go ahead and look up one of my leads here under Find a Contact. His name is Chris Henderson. I'm really interested in working with him. Oop, I guess I spelled his name wrong. Let me look up Chris. Okay, there we go. Chris Anderson. My apologies. So Chris is someone I'm interested in working with. So I'm going to go ahead and attach a lead to his record. You'll see right here under Attach an Item to this contact, we've got lead, that lead tracking process or pipeline. So I'm going to go ahead and click on lead and attach a new lead to Chris. I'll get this big pop-up. It'll say attach a new lead to Chris at the top. And then I can pick his status. That's the step in the process where Chris is. So he could either be a prospect, a qualified lead, or the ending statuses or outcomes are sale won or sale lost. The statuses in a pipeline are completely customizable. So if this doesn't match your lead process, no problem. We're going to get into customizing in a second. So for Chris, I'm going to go ahead and say he's a prospect. I haven't talked to him yet, but I really want to work with him. The next thing I can choose here is going to be priority. That's how important Chris is to me. So I'm going to say he's high priority. The last two items we have here are going to be add a note and add a task to follow up. So the cool thing about pipelines is that it prompts you to practice good CRM. You not only have to fill out the status, the priority, and any custom fields that you create. And again, that's customizable, and we'll get into that in a second. But it's also going to prompt you to leave a note after every touch, which we recommend. So my note might be something along the lines of, I met Chris at XYZ conference and he seems interested, need to send him materials. It also prompts me to add a task to follow up so that I'm always keeping that relationship going. So I promised Chris that I would send him materials. So I'm going to go ahead and have a task here that says send materials to Chris. I'm going to go ahead and save that lead. And all within one click of a button, I've both left a note about my last touch with Chris. I've attached this pipeline here so that I get this big badge that says he's a lead, he's a prospect, and he's high priority. And I get this task. So again, pipeline's really easy way to keep track of your contacts and streamline your workflow in the CRM. So this is how I attach a single pipeline to a single lead, right? How I track one lead. I can go ahead and click on this if I want, and I can update Chris's lead status. But let's say I want to see all of the leads in my system. I would go to my lead report at the top of the screen here. So if I click on leads, then I get a report of every single person in my lead pipeline or who has that lead attachment on them in this report. And it's going to have them organized by their status, by their priority, and any other information that I entered about them will show up in this center column. So that's where we have Chris. So the great thing about your pipeline report is that you'll have all your contacts under Find a Contact, but your pipeline reports will help you easily pull reports of the people that you have to focus on. So in this case, it's my leads, but for you, it could be for any of your processes. The pipeline reports are also filterable and sortable. So this is where you would go to pull reports in the CRM and see how your lead generation process is doing. In Chris's case, though, we can also edit him from this report. So if I wanted to work right from my lead report when following up with people, I can do that by clicking Quick Edit here on the right-hand side. So I might click Quick Edit next to Chris. I'm going to say we won that sale. I can leave a note about how I won that sale or even add a task to follow up. And then I'll update that lead. And Chris will disappear from the default view of this lead report because he's not a lead anymore. He is a customer of ours. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to find Chris now that he's been converted into a customer. On the left-hand side here, you'll see that I can filter this report by status. So I'm going to go ahead and say, show me all my sales won. There's Chris at the top. He's not been deleted from the CRM. All his info is still in here. And if I go ahead and click on his name, we'll see that tag that says I won that sale on November 1st. So that is the basics of how a pipeline is going to work in the CRM. Now that we've done that, I want to cover customizing. So I'm going to come back to my presentation here, and we're going to go over customizing. So before we add any customizations to the CRM, let's take a couple minutes to think about the processes that you want to track. Do you want to track leads, customer issues, job applications? Think of them right now and write them all down on a piece of paper or type up a note in your computer. If you don't have a notepad around, no problem. We're going to send you a replay of this demo afterwards, so you can always rewatch it and kind of go through this planning process with us. So write down all the processes that you want to track at your business. Once you've written down those processes, our next step here is to break them down into individual steps. So if we take the lead generation process, the steps in my pipeline might be something along the lines of identify the prospect, and then once I've identified them, I call them, then I try to schedule a one-on-one, and after that, I follow up to see if they're interested or they are not. So a good way to think about how many or how few steps you want to have is if you want to be able to track which contacts are in a particular step, then that should be a status in the CRM. So steps correlate to statuses, and that's where we saw that prospect, qualified lead, and then sale won and sale lost in the CRM just now. All right, so once you have your processes, the next step is going to be figuring out the pieces of info you gather throughout that particular process. These are going to be your custom fields. So if you'd like to pull a report on a piece of data, for example, you might want to get a better idea of where your leads are coming from, or you might want to know what products are most popular. You should have custom fields for lead source and product in your pipeline. So we've got three components here: the processes, the steps in those processes, and then the pieces of information that you want to gather. So feel free to write those down. You can also write down ideas throughout the webinar and rewatch this later if you need more help with that. Another fun resource for you here, if you need even more help, is we have a worksheet that will walk you through the exact steps that I walked you through right now. And we are going to email you a link to that worksheet after the webinar is over. So here's a little sneak peek. That is the link. Again, we're going to email it to you after the webinar is over, so don't worry about writing that down or remembering it right now. All right, so I'm going to go back into the CRM then and show you how to customize out your leads pipeline. So I am going to go ahead here and hover my mouse over settings and click on customize your pipelines. Just as a reminder here, only admins or owners and accounts can customize pipelines. So if you're not seeing this in your account, no problem. You can talk to the owner of the account or an admin on your team, and they will help you customize things out. So I'm going to click on customize your pipelines, and then I'm going to go ahead and click the edit button under lead here to edit out that lead pipeline so that it matches my lead process. So you'll see that we have all the components we just talked about. We have the statuses. These are going to be the steps in our process. And if you remember the process I described earlier, I've got prospects, and then I'm going to go ahead and rename this second step so that it says contacted. And after I've contacted them, I try to schedule a one-on-one. And these are the active steps in my process. So the steps that I am taking with a lead to turn them into a customer. Finally, we've got the close statuses. Those are going to be the ending outcomes that I could have here. I could win the sale, I could lose the sale, or I'm going to create another ending outcome here, another close status, and that's going to say no for now. And that just means, you know, they're not quite ready yet. They didn't say a hard no, so I'm going to call them back in a couple months. And I'm going to go ahead and move that above sale loss. So it's kind of an in-between option. So to just go over everything here, how we customize these statuses is we can rename them like I did with contacted. We can create a new status, and we can even drag them into different orders. So if they're in the wrong order, no problem. You can always drag those around. So now that I have my statuses customized, I'm going to go ahead and move on to my custom fields. These are the pieces of information that I'm gathering throughout the process. I'm going to go ahead and click Create Custom Field here, and you'll see that we have quite a few custom field options, from text box, drop-down list, that's where you pick one item off a list, checkbox list, you pick multiple items off a list, number, date field, and then text area, which is like a bigger text area, bigger like paragraph area. I'm going to go ahead and have a field name here for product because I know I'm interested in tracking what products people are interested in. I'll have a checkbox list of each of those products, and I'll do A, B, and C. Those are the 3 products I sell. I'm going to have another custom field here for lead source because I want to know where all of my leads are coming from. I want to be able to pull a report on that. And I'm going to say referral, website, or advertisement. And then I'm going to create one more custom field. I want to know the lead value of all my leads coming in. I want to know how much money I will be making each month, and I'll make that a number field. So I'm going to go ahead and move lead source to the top so that it's lead source, product, and number, or lead value when I'm adding those new leads to my system. So we finished customizing out the statuses and the custom fields. And one more note to kind of make here is that your pipelines can really be as complex or as simple as you want them to be. So I could have 15 statuses if I wanted to. I can have 25 custom fields. It all depends on what information are you actually going to put in the CRM versus, you know, what is just going to make things too complicated. So it's always good to start off with something simple, and then if you realize you need more information in the future, you can always add in more custom fields and more statuses as you go along. One last thing that we can customize here is going to be the name of the pipeline and the icon. So if I don't really use the word lead, if I use the word opportunity or prospect, I can always change that, and then the pipeline will have a new name. Similarly, I can change the icon too. So if I'd prefer a person icon to a money icon or certain colors, I can change that information as well. So it's all very, very customizable. So to show you what all these customizations look like in action, if I go back to my lead report now, and I click quick edit next to Brian Smith, this top prospect here, you'll see now that I have new statuses. So there's contacted, one-on-one scheduled, and no for now, the new ones that I added. I can input a lead source. I can also toggle which products he's interested in, and I can even input a lead value. So I'll go ahead and do that for Brian. I'll put him in the new statuses and custom fields there. I'll update that lead, and then if I scroll down here to the contacted status, there we've got Brian with all his new info updated in that center column. If I scroll up to the top two, you'll see if I were to filter by specific fields here, that all of the new custom fields I created, you can filter by them. So now I can pull reports based on lead source or the product someone is interested in, or even that lead value, which is pretty nifty. So I am going to go ahead and show you guys now how to track more than just leads in your CRM. You can always create more than one pipeline. So if I go to settings here and I go to customize your pipelines, you'll see that we've got this create a new pipeline button at the top. If I go ahead and click on that, you'll see that I can create a pipeline from scratch. So if I've got a totally unique process, I can always go ahead and type that in here, the name of the process, pick an icon, create the pipeline, and it'll allow me to create all of the statuses and all of the custom fields from scratch. The other option here is that you can use one of our existing pipeline templates. And you'll see we've got quite a few processes here that we already have pre-made pipelines for, whether it's tracking customer issues, donations, expenses, job applications, and more. So if one of these processes matches a process that you want to track, I would highly recommend starting with this pipeline template. So you'll see if I click on customer issue and I create the pipeline, it already has pre-made statuses and custom fields that I can use, but it's still totally customizable. So if I want to move them around or change the name or add a new status, those templates are a great place to start just because they give you a nice base. We also have industry templates available. Just one last thing to mention here. So if you are a travel agent, insurance agent, real estate agent, financial planner, we have tried and true pipeline templates for you. Also, if you'd like to build a template with us for your industry, or you're in an industry that's, has a lot of networking and other people are going to want this, we'd be more than happy to schedule a one-on-one customizing call with you and help you get your pipelines all set up. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead here and go back to the pipeline here and pause for questions. I see that people just needed some help finding things in the CRM. No problem. Let me take a look at our questions tab. Okay, we had one question from Tim Mendoza here. Can we import contacts and leads from email or Excel files? We can import contacts into the CRM. The one thing we can't import into directly is those pipeline custom fields. So you can import contacts into the CRM, you can bulk add them into your lead pipeline, but we won't be able to have individual values for those custom fields in your pipeline, just because we can't import directly into them, if that makes any sense. And we've got one other question here from Mimi. Where can we view all the available industry templates? You guys don't have access to them, but we do. So if you would like to ask us about certain industries, please feel free to do that. You can always email us or contact your CRM coach, and we'd be more than happy to share with you what industry templates we have. The most popular ones are definitely the one that I rattled off earlier. So travel agent, insurance agent, real estate agent, and financial planner, I would say are the most popular ones that we often dole out. Alrighty. So now that we've gone over a couple questions here, I am going to go back to the demo, if that's all right with you guys, and dive into reporting. So we're back in the demo here. We've covered what you should think about when you're customizing, how to customize things in the CRM. And the final thing I think most people are interested in here is going to be actually pulling reports and getting data. So I am going to head to our leads report here. So if I hover over pipelines, it says leads there. And I'm going to show you how to pull reports from this page. And all of your pipelines are going to have a reporting page just like this, but we're in a demo, so that leads page is going to have the most data for us. I'm going to show you how to pull a couple of main reports that we get a lot of questions about. But if you do have questions about reporting, again, just pop them in that questions tab, and Eunice would be more than happy to help you out there. All right, so the first report I'm going to show you how to pull here is how to see all of the sales you've won this month. So if I hover my mouse over lead report here, and I click on filter by status, I can go ahead and filter for just the sales that I won. Then I'm going to want to lay on one more filter, and I'm going to click on filter by specific fields here. And I'm going to filter by the date the lead was last updated, and I'm going to say is between November 1st and I'll say October actually, because that's really where the bulk of this will be done, and October 31st. So we're just going to see all the sales we won last month. And you'll see we've got 3 sales, and I can count that really quickly because I'm going to see the rows in the upper right-hand corner. So that's one report. Let's say I want to see the total number of leads that I entered in October. I can just edit this yellow bar rather than clearing it and adding new filters. So instead of sales 1, I'm going to filter that so I'm seeing all the statuses. And instead of last updated, I'm going to say the date the lead was created is between the 1st and the 31st of October. And in this case, now I get 21 leads were entered in all of October. Both of these reports are going to help me find another piece of information that's really helpful for a lot of small business owners, which is going to be your conversion rate. So I can take the number of sales that I won last month, that total is going to be 3. I can divide it by 21, the total number of sales I entered leads I entered last month, and then I get 14% as my conversion rate. That means that of all the leads that I'm entering, about 14% of them are going to turn into sales each month. Pipeline, if you want to get a better idea of how your processes are working and what you can do to improve, pipelines are a great way to do that. So in my case, I might try adding 10 more prospects next month and see if I can keep my conversion rate the same, so at 14%. Or I might see if adding in a second or third touch converts more people. So either way, improving my practices improves the customer experience as well as the success of my business, and pipelines can help me tell what is and isn't working. So just a final review here while we're on this reporting page. You can filter by status, and we just went over how to do that. The next filter we have here is by user, so that I can see just a specific user's contacts. I can find each user's conversion rate, for example. Then we have sort by here. That's just going to let me sort by any of my fields. So I can say, show me all of my leads in a certain status, but I want them organized by the date they were last updated, right? So I can contact the people who I haven't talked to in a while. Finally, we've got filter by group. So any of those groups you have in the CRM, you can filter by. And the last one we have here is filter by specific field. And like I said earlier, I can filter by any of those custom fields as well as any of the fields on a certain contact, right? So I can say, show me all of my leads in a city who are in this status. And then maybe I can ask them to meet with me or something along those lines. So now that we have gone over reporting, I want to go over some other popular reports that we get. The first one that people often ask for is going to be monitoring your users. So you can filter your pipeline report to see one user or several users' leads, all their sales won and their sales lost. So you can use those reports to assess your employees or discuss them during a one-on-one or a sales meeting. So if you're a manager, this is a really great way to see what everybody's doing in the CRM. And the next report that we often get questions about is finding bottlenecks in your sales process. We just converted our conversion rate, or we found our conversion rate, but you can also calculate your conversion rate between individual statuses to find the weak link in your processes. So for example, maybe your leads convert almost 100% after they've had a one-on-one meeting with you, but most leads never even make it to a phone call. So that lets you know that you need to improve your outreach so that you can get more folks on the phone rather than just getting a bunch more leads. That can be a very helpful thing to understand about your business. The next popular report would be calculating your commission or knowing how much you need to pay your team. So if you have a field for lead value or commission, you can pull a report, export it from the CRM into Excel, and then use Excel's tools to calculate your commission total. So you can pull these reports for individual users to make sure you're paying them the correct amount at the end of the month, or you could even use it to project your earnings. You can say, show me everyone in the final status before they buy. I think that 5 of these people are probably going to end up going with me. And then you can add up their commission and or add up how much they're spending and project the amount that you're going to make. The final popular report that we get, which I'll bop to in a second because I know I didn't show you this screenshot here, is going to be finding a specific customer's order history. So you can filter your pipeline reports by group or by a specific company or contact name. So if you want to export a spreadsheet of a single customer's orders or all of the goods and services that you've sold to a company over the years, you can do that by filtering by a specific field and picking the company name or the contact name. So that way you get a report and you can say, this is, our most valuable customer or something like that. Or if a customer needs a report, you can send it to them. You can always send them that data. So the last thing we're going to go over here today is common pitfalls. So we know everything that there is to know about pipelines. So let's discuss what could go wrong here. Because I know a lot of you guys are experienced with the CRM and you're more curious about preventing disasters maybe than making sure you get everything customized. So the first common pitfall here is going to be that while you can create as many pipelines as you need, I would recommend streamlining your processes as much as possible so that you have fewer reports to look at. So for example, if you sell a bunch of different products, but they all have the same sales process, you really only need one pipeline for orders with custom fields to help you distinguish between the products, the parent companies, and order numbers. So creating too many pipelines, that is common pitfall number 1. The next one we have here is attaching a pipeline to the wrong record. So in Less Annoying CRM, you can attach pipelines to both contacts and companies. But let's say that your lead is really the company and you're just talking to somebody at the company like Steven, and you're trying to sell the company your product or service. So instead of attaching a lead to each contact you speak to at that company, you really want to attach that pipeline to the company record itself, not Steven, not anybody else you're talking to, since the company is really your lead. It's important to make sure that you're only attaching a pipeline to the correct record so that you don't throw off reporting and have to constantly clean up your pipeline. So attaching the pipeline to the wrong record, you're going to want to make sure you attach it to the actual lead or, the actual customer having the issue, that kind of thing. And the next common pitfall we have here is attaching a new pipeline rather than updating an old pipeline. We get so many support tickets about this, so I want to make sure that everybody realizes if you want to update a lead, you need to go to the contact record and click on the big pipeline badge in the middle of the page. So that's going to be this badge right here. Or you have to go to your report and click Quick Edit. If you click on Lead under Attach an Item to this contact, so that's going to be over here, what you're actually doing is attaching a new pipeline, not editing the old one. And this can again throw off reporting and give you more to clean up because you'll have multiple leads per record and you'll have to delete them, consolidate them, that kind of thing. The final common pitfall here is not training your users. So if you have users in the CRM, you must come up with a process for using the CRM, or people are going to enter data however they want and throw off your reporting. We recommend coming up with CRM rules to combat this. So rules mean when you get a prospect, enter them in the CRM, add the pipeline to them, fill in these fields, and go back and update them later or something along those lines. So if everyone knows how to enter data and where every piece of data should go, you'll have accurate and clean pipelines rather than somebody who's attaching multiple pipelines, adding people to groups, changing their names, and just sort of tracking things however they want. That can definitely get confusing. All right, so we've gone over what to think about before customizing, how to customize things in the CRM, how to pull reports and common pitfalls. So I'm going to go ahead and check over here under our questions tab to see if any more questions have come in. So I see there's another question here from Mimi. Is there a way to sort contacts based on those that were created today or from email communications? Yes, you can definitely sort your contacts by when they were created. We can't sort them on how they were created, however. So if they came in from a logged email or from a sync or someone created them by hand, we don't really track that information in a sortable way, but you can sort them on the date that they were added to the CRM period. So I'm gonna bop back to the CRM here really quickly just to show you. If you click sort by at the top of that report, I can sort by, instead of status, the date the actual pipeline was attached or the date that the contact was created. So in your case, I might say contact was created, and then I sort by it. And now I get a nice field that says the date the contact was created was October 18th and even the exact time. I'll pop back to our chat here to see if there's any other questions. It looks like Eunice answered most of them. Okay, Mimi's asking about the contact list. Yeah, you can have the same filtering and sorting options on the contact list. So if I go to find a contact, I can sort by that info as well. So the date the contact was created. I'm just quickly scanning. It looks like Eunice answered all of your questions, but if you do have more questions after this webinar is over, you can go to our help section here, click on contact us, and then you'll get our direct contact information on the left-hand side. So that's our main number, main email, and then your CRM coach's information on the right-hand side. So that's me, I'm a CRM coach. If I scroll down, there's Eunice as well. We've done a ton of one-on-one customizing calls, and I see that Eunice posted a link there to how to schedule a one-on-one customizing call. In that, we can really drill down into your process and get it all customized in the CRM, and we'd be more than happy to schedule one of those with all of you guys. I'm going to go over a couple common questions that we get here. We just went over how to get help with customizing. 2 more common questions. You cannot attach a pipeline to multiple contacts at the same time. That's something we get a lot of questions about. It's really just one contact per pipeline. So if I attached a pipeline here, like this lead pipeline, it would live on Alexander Edwards' record. I couldn't transfer it or attach it to another record. Another question we get is, can everyone on my account see all the pipelines? Yes, pipeline structures are visible to every user on your account. So no matter who you are, I could see each of these pipeline options under the pipelines tab here. But depending on my permissions, I might not be able to see all the contacts in there. So if you have a job application pipeline, no worries, not everyone can see who's in that pipeline, but everyone will see that the pipeline exists. All right, so it looks like the questions have slowed down for now. I really appreciate you guys listening in on the webinar today, and I don't want to take any more of your time. So if you do have more questions, please feel free to get in touch. You can email us at info@lessannoyingcrm.com or call us at 877-666-6467. Eunice and I are going to stick around for a couple more minutes and answer your questions, but I'm going to end the webinar, which will start the replay. So if you joined part of the way through, no problem. You can always go back and watch the rest of the webinar. And you guys will be receiving an email soon with the link to that worksheet that I talked about earlier. So thanks so much for watching, guys.